one aspect of human design that I'm super passionate about is profile. I'm obsessed with the profile and the lines and how they give us huge amounts of data and such accurate data about how we can step into our power, our role, our service, our fullest expression, our potential, and really reach the highest zenith of what is possible for somebody of a certain profile. So, for example, profile really breaks down the qualities and archetypes and characteristics that you come into this world with and to share. I'm a 1-3, so a 1 line has certain characteristics. I've spoken on this before. I've done some posts on profile, but just a brief rundown. The 1 line is the investigator, the researcher. So they're here to become an authority. They're an expert. They are somebody who's always going to be. They're the scholar. They're going to dig deep. They're going to provide a foundation. They're going to get to the essence of the field that they're in or the topics that they're interested in, and they're here really. The role is to be a resource and to become an expert so that they can help support the other lines in whatever they're doing. The 3rd line is somebody who is an experiential learner. So the 3rd line will go through life bumping into things, testing things out, trialing. They'll experiment, and it's really interesting because before human design, when I was an educator, I'm still an educator, but when I was an educator in the system, I actually developed a pedagogy and it's probably not my own, I built on other research and scholarship that had been done, and I was an evidence-led practitioner, so I brought in, and that's the thing about the 3rd line as well, through their creativity and through their ability to look at multiple domains to get to the bottom of something and see how they all connect, they will create very innovative ways of doing things. So they're an evolutionary force. Yes, all of this about myself. But do you see how amazing it is and why it's so brilliant when we look at it in business, when we look at it in our children, which is what I'm going to get onto. But so when I was developing a pedagogy in the school, I used to teach I used to call it a mathematical or a scientific approach to writing and reading, because there were certain strategies and reading strategies and thinking strategies and steps that you could actually explicitly teach to help and model thinking and reading skills to develop mastery. So to move from dependence to independence. And I used to call, even the system that I would teach, by the end of my 7 years developing my way of teaching, I had little symbols. So there would be the detective and a little magnifying glass. So we're going to clarify our thinking. There'd be they would be taught how to question and ask questions effectively. So it's about that person. The 1-3 is really the somebody who's going to get to the foundation of how does all of this work, and how is the best way for us to convey this idea, teach this, simplify this complexity, or whatever it is, so that we can build the rest on solid foundations. So that really sums up this 1-3 profile. So when I work with people in marketing, we're looking at how can we really leverage profile in your expression, in the way you show up, in your strategy, etc. So for the 1 line, we're looking at thought leadership. We're looking at somebody who is going to develop, maybe write a book, maybe to have a podcast, YouTube, whatever it happens to be. But really the angle you're looking at is how am I going to change the world? Because what am I a change agent for? What am I leading transformation in? Because how am I getting people to think or see something differently? And I'm not saying that the other profiles can't do that. I'm just saying this is an example of how we're looking at profile. So there are 12 different profiles in human design, and I basically came on to say that I have partnered up with a parenting by design coach. Her name is Sasha Clark, and we have been collaborating and creating a 12 series podcast, which is going to be launched in August, on how to educate and support parents to nurture and support the different childs, the different profiles. So it could be how to parent your profile, how to educate and parent your, or how to educate and parent your 1-3 profile, your 5-2 profile, whatever it happens to be. With the hope that we can start to really support our young people to own their gifts, own their talents, hone their unique way of being. And it's not just qualities and archetypes. This is a lot of information about our learning styles, about how we relate to other people, how we best learn and interact with the world. One lines are very introspective. One lines like to be reflective. They like to, in fact, they have to make sense of their experience and their reality through introspection. They make sense of their experience of the other and in the world through their own introspection and that reflective process. Whereas other profiles are much more sociable, or they're transpersonal. I'm not going to give you a whole bloody lesson on profiles right now, but it's just to give you a sense of how amazing just this one little aspect of human design is, and 2, I want to excite you with the idea and the knowing that in August I will be dropping this 12 series on podcasts specifically for educators and parents, and anyone who wants to understand it, to how can we really build optimal conditions to nurture and support the trajectory, because every profile has a potential that they're here to reach. And for example, again, with the 1 line, it's really important for us to educate that child. Make sure the 1-3 gets a high quality education. Make sure they get taught note making strategies, taught to think, taught to make mistakes, because the 3rd line's here to make mistakes. If the 3rd line isn't making mistakes, they're not evolving, they're not transforming, they're not mutating, as language in human design would say. So you'd be actually hindering them. And then there's loads of information, which is why I do actually a human design reading just on profile. So if that's something you're interested in, if you're a parent, if you're a human being, a business owner, you want to understand how to leverage your profile in your business, that reading's for you. If you are a parent and you want to understand how to best support your child based on their profile, we can get their learning style, how sociable they are, how they operate in the world, how to help them to thrive and develop their unique skill set, how to understand their qualities, that's available too. But yeah, so looking forward to that, and I think that's about it for now. We're about to record in a couple of hours the 3rd in our series. So we did an intro, we did one last week. Today's our 2nd profile, but our 3rd recording. So looking forward to sharing this with you. It's transformational. It will change the world.